Be live in about 8 minutes now, give or take. DevOp. That's kind of what I am, sort of. Or rather, that's what I was and now what I am. Hey, Valdemar, welcome back. How is everybody tonight? Don't forgot to update the header again. It still said Dwarf Day 6 again. This is Day 7. Day 7. That's right, Dwarven Insanity for a straight week. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 26. I'm going to do this for 26 more days in a row. At least one or two of the weekends, I'm going to try and do a little longer than usual, a little longer than the 2.5 hours I've gotten in most nights. On Sunday, we did like 4, and somewhere along here, I'll probably do similar. But through the week, it's hard to do much later than what we do it because I got to work in the morning, you know? All right. It's been, yeah, hard to believe it's been a week, isn't it? Now, I know that because I haven't streamed in like 2 years prior to this event, and Twitch was more than happy to let me know that I've done this for a week and they'd really like me to be an affiliate now. And I'm like, okay, guys, whatever. Not even sure what the hell that all means. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. And in case you weren't following along the last couple of times, we've been attacked by stealthy necromancers, were animals. We brought down a rock last time, made it into rock stakes, which are still floating around in the fortress en masse. Well, it's a side effect. If you look back, I've been doing this for like 6 years now, apparently. I went back to the YouTube archive, and it's been at least that long since I started streaming it. Um, instead of just recording it and putting it out there for people. So it's been at least 6 years I've been doing it now, and I was shocked. I was floored. Now usually it's just the 24-hour game day, but I figured if I hadn't done this in for a couple of years, it'd be a good thing to make kind of a bigger event out of it. So we're going to do 33 days in a row, the entire month of October, all the way through game day in November. Okay, looks like we need a few cages. We're still short on cloth. Need to make some lye. And it looks like we're short on logs again. I'm probably running. Why does the ashery say we're short on logs? What the hell? Okay. Cancels wooden cage, needs make logs. Okay. Where the hell have they gotten themselves to that they can't get logs? I suppose maybe if they got it, well, no, because they could have gone back up top. Huh. Okay, where the hell are you at that you can't find logs? I'm all ears. Did I not include them in a burrow, maybe? Aha! Yes. Okay, so let's change this a little bit. Add a little more space. Because we added the room, but we didn't actually add the burrow. So there, that will get us the logs that everybody needed, plus we took the burrow off the thing, and now that'll allow the carpenters to do their part. And that gets us back to we still need the gold if we're going to do those wells in gold like I wanted. Okay, let's check on our animals. Yep, getting our training done. Good, good, good. Now, part of the reason I'm only using male dogs for this, besides the fact that I have lots of males and I don't need as many as I have, is that I don't want the females to give birth while they're on a chain and thereby not have their puppies automatically assigned to the pasture. Whereas if they give birth down here, pasturing is automatically done for me. All the puppies are part of the pasture automatically. Problem solved. So I'm using males for the guard duty. Yep, Forgotten Beast still wrecking stuff up in the caverns. Ouch. Cat attack. And we also need to finish testing our drowning trap. I seem to remember we hadn't quite done that yet. Seem to remember that we hadn't actually fired that bad boy yet. And our access is sealed and our reservoir is sealed, so we're good there. The reservoir is probably about as full as it's going to normally get. I mean, eventually you'd fill out those last fives and sixes, but it'll take you a long time. All right, so I say we fire that bad boy and see if it's working. Double check to make sure that the lever actually does what I think it does. This should be drowning, trap firing, sealing, access, drains. So you're a goblin. You're in this hallway. Eventually, somebody goes and pulls the lever. Haven't even drained half the water yet. Okay, and that maxed out the bottom floor for us. Good. Now that's good to know. We can't quite fill it from one reservoir firing if we don't have some water in the lower chamber when we start. This would be enough to exhaust goblins and such eventually. They'd eventually wear out, pass out, drown that way, but it wouldn't simply flood them to death. Yeah, see, this This is the bug. Now the water stops coming in. Intake's working. Inflow pipe is full. No water flows in the pipe. You just saw it fill up before, and now it won't. It's like it's completely impervious now. Nothing has changed. Love to have that one explained. If anybody out there in Dwarfland knows how that one works. Well, we would have to drain a little bit out of that chamber in order to use it. Yeah, it's this lower one for drowning chamber. This is our reservoir access in case we ever have to get in there, and then this is our loot access right here. So normally the only three we would need to use is these three for access and firing, and then these two for draining. Realistically, I should have put this one on the top and one of the other ones on the bottom, but eh. Dope. Left it on pause. It's not going to get the lever pulled. Yeah, we've been busy. And then the lever will go up. And then it will crush another chunk of water out of existence. And then it will go up. And about half the chamber's drained already. And then it'll go up one more time, and about maybe 2 more smashes, and we'll be good. At this point, the chamber would be passable for anyone who needed to pass it. I think that what's left will drain into the lower chamber harmlessly, except for the level 1 depth, which we won't care about. All right. That means we can give this access if we wanted. Plenty of space down here for the remaining 2s. All right, and that'll open up the chamber to access. Now, drowning chamber's cute and all, but how do we ensure they go through it? Well, that's where this bridge comes in. We can raise this bridge and prevent anybody from trying to get in. Open up the access to the drowning chamber, let people in, close it while there's someone in there, fire it, drown them, open it up, loot them, let it dry out to the extent we need to, pull all the dwarves back in, open it back up, let trolls and goblins in, keep drowning them until they either break or until we've gotten them all, and then we can open up the wagon path again. Finish looting the last bits. So, now we need to get these 4 bridges linked up because we still don't have them linked. But that's the remaining parts we need to have the entrance actually up and operational. Now, at that point, what I would typically do is broaden this out a little bit and make it so that the wagon will follow a serpentine path to avoid traps. But anybody who happens to wander into the area who isn't part of the merchant faction will get themselves garbage pile in a hurry. We'll use some weapon traps for that. Um, see what we can do that's weaponable. Maybe some iron blades, axe blades, or menacing discs. Just needed to measure the ups and downs so we could get the serpentine through the right path. Now, in the current version, this is where we deserve to segue a little bit into the discussion of the current version. In the current version, stress is broken. Toady has admitted as much. It has not been fixed. Doing things like building weapon traps, which will dice goblins into millions and millions of pieces, is a surefire way to send your dwarves into crippling depression. So, while it's supposed to be unpleasant for your dwarves to have to clean up, 40 million goblin body parts, it's not supposed to be automatically life ending if they walk into the remnants of a field of battle. And the current version means that negative side effects of stress can often easily outweigh the positive ones. Our fortress has been relatively uneventful thus far. We have not had a major siege, and our attacks have been very small in nature. A rock, a couple of forgotten beasts that we've got chained up in the basement, basically. Uh, a cowardly necromancer who took off, a mule skeleton it resurrected, and a squad of humans. It's not been a real productive attack. There's been undead that wandered onto the map and then immediately wandered away. Um, but that's about it. And speaking of forgotten beasts, there's the forgotten beasts webbing something. Yeah, I suspect that we're going to redesign it. Not that it matters at the moment because it appears like it's broken. Ha ha ha, looky there. Busted. There's an entire inflow pipe at level 7 that's full, and the intake on the river is still active, and yet nothing. Now, I suspect if I water smash the intake a little bit, I'll suddenly get flow downstairs. Realistically, it should have been refilling as it was firing, and it wasn't. That's the problem. There's sometimes a fluid bug with water, and it just stops responding the way it was. I mean, you guys saw it filling from the intake pipe. It's not like I walled it up somehow with DF hack or something or did something unusual. And yet the reservoir has completely ceased. And now here it goes again all of a sudden because I tripped the intake once. So now there's a finite source of water. It's draining the intake pipe out. What's in the pipe is now flooding in. But before that, it was stalled like there was a vacuum seal on it, even though there wasn't. It was exposed to the river the whole time. So we might have to as part of the firing, flush the intake twice to force the intake to trip to keep filling the device while it's pumping, because all of what we got was basically one reservoir full with no refill whatsoever. Meanwhile, it should have had, a full chamber, a full reservoir, or nearly a full reservoir, with the river supplying it the entire time we were dumping it, and we never had any intake. It was just raw volume. So now, once again, we've got the river filling it properly. Yay, bugs. And yet, the design survives. So, before we do this, actually, let's stop for a moment. Let's think about this for a second. Let's redo the device a little bit. Let's add the pressure regulator over here. Realistically, we should never need it. But if we do, having it over here is as good as having it over there. It doesn't matter where we put it. It's going to pressure regulate to this floor regardless of what we do. At which point we can open this up and guarantee more flow, more throughput, because the water that's pumping in will basically be pressurized the entire time. And no blockades or pressure reduction. So let's go ahead and close the intake. Give that a second to settle out where it's going to. We might have to pull a little bit. We might have to pull some out of the reservoir in order to properly drain this enough that our dwarves will get in there and mine it properly. They'll wade through a 2 or a 3 if they have to, but you don't want to get them wet if we don't have to. With the intake shut down, all we're going to get is what's in the intake pipe. We'll do a little smashy on that drain, and that'll get rid of the problem. Okay. So, yeah, I bet we start finding out that our guys are having stress problems now. Oh, no, he has a strange mood. Would we not get him? Didn't know we had one. We must have left off with one in the pipe and didn't realize it. Well, have fun then, dude. I think that was the mayor. Nope, nope, different name. So who'd we lose here? Oh, one of our 47 million Smiths. Doesn't sets his stress back to 0 when he goes mad, though. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to see what contributed, but I think it's just the mood itself. Yeah, most of the rest is good stuff. So okay. Okay, got plenty of places for our new corpsicle to be. Good, good. Stark Mag means he'll wander around the fortress for a little bit, taking off all his clothes until he dies of depression, dehydration, and starvation. And then we throw him in a coffin and move on. We need some dwarven orderlies to drag him outside and lock him out. With our luck, he'll die in the well. Oh, look, we caught a stupid bird. Not a smart bird, obviously, or he would have avoided that cage, but, the dumb ones fly right down there into him. And I mean, it's not even an outer cage where we could have said, oh, well, a bunny was headed that way and he just got there first. But no, 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 no. No, no, this is right in the middle. Right in the middle. All right, let's pull the cats inside here a bit. At least the pets. And that way the pets aren't roaming around on the surface. So I think, Elucidora, the answer to your question is it should refill that fast, but I don't think it does because I think shit's broke. Now, I'm not actually going to make the giant copper axe blades for use in traps. Here, we're taking advantage of an exploit that exists in the current version of Dwarf Fortress. Giant copper axe blades, once melted down, have a 120% yield compared to the amount of products you put into them. So you get back 1.2 bars for every bar you put in. The fractional bars add up in the forge, so long as the only thing that you're melting is the thing that you need to be melting. So we'll restrict the melt job to a particular uh, workshop. Generally speaking, we'll have it constantly running in one, and I don't care if the occasional melt job goes somewhere else. But we'll have one workshop devoted to melting these down, and then we'll have another workshop devoted to building them back up. Now we'll keep any masterworks for purposes of selling them off. Anything less than masterwork, we'll melt back down and just use it to generate copper, basically. So the melt object job is harmless on its own. It's not until you designate objects to be melted that they will be melted back down. So there's our one of our squads going off. Oh, that reminds me. So the goal being that our axe guys and our hammer guys are alternating months for who's on job when we're just doing the training rotation. On red alert, of course, I want everybody active all the time, full time until I get rid of it. For right now, a training order is all we really got that puts them in the barracks. Eventually, we might want to have patrols or station orders where we station a certain number of dwarves at various entrances, for example. But for right now, a simple training order will keep them in the barracks. The barracks is located where we need them to be. That works perfectly. We'll need to make sure that the barracks is assigned to allow both squads to train. And I've told them they can keep their individual and squad equipment here if they want. I don't really think that they actually do in the current version, but, eventually Tony will fix it. All right, we'll get our archery range set up. think it chickened out and took off. Nope, he's hanging out. Okay. Bet he didn't survive that. Nope, his contribution to the fight was pretty much to fall over and then die. Okay, that works. Wheel out the next set of dogs. Make sure we put the militia back to regular jobs. Get these guys to wheel out the new set of dogs and tie them up, haul away the corpses, and then the problem is gone. All right. Oh, nuts. We were going to drain that. That's why it was closed. And apparently, either Toady is coated in vacuum seals or there's a bug here. Seal the intake, the water stops flowing through the U bend. We can drain this chamber out, and yet there's an entire pipe of water on the other side of that wall, which should be coming back up to this floor. And I don't just mean the horizontal pipe, it should be. Oh, no, it's just drained all that. Okay, good. That's why. Never mind. Whew. Okay, that'll give our dwarves access to get in there and do the little bit of mining we're going to do to clear this out. We'll forbid those stones, hide those stones, pull the dwarves back out. Done. I thought we had a bug. We don't. It has drained the stuff above this. This flow here will also act as a pressure regulator, but it won't stop river pressure coming from the surface. It'll only stop water flowing at this level. So once the water from above this floor is drained out, the water here is pressurized to only this floor, and it won't cross the U bend, which is weird because it's higher on that side than this side. Despite these being at equal heights, realistically that should normalize with this, but it doesn't beyond that point. Okay, so that's done. We'll just hide those real fast, close the bridge back up, and reopen it. Let's play a little bit of roulette, see if they pull the right one first. Nope. Doesn't matter though. Okay, and we'll let the water flood back in. Now, in order to make this fill faster, there's a few things you could do. You could make the entrance pipe wider, straight up. That'll actually help. Um, you could add an additional flow, take another pipe into the intake. As we saw when we were looking at it previously, the intake for this kind of drains a little sluggishly into the pipe, so it tends to flood in here until it gets full. The river doesn't really have enough juice to sustain this over the long haul. You could dam the river, which would help you increase flow into this. You'd effectively be diverting the river directly into your intake. And I'm going to check on our fish now because it looks like maybe our unprepared fish is starting to get a little out of hand. Nobody doing the fish cleaning job here. Yes, 463 raw mussels. There we are. That's quite a number. So let's turn fishing off for a minute. Just for a minute, instead of generating fish, we'll start whittling them down. All right. Give them a minute to dig this out, and we'll look at expanding our smelting operation a little bit. Yeah, we know he's going to die. Okay. When did he die? Huh. Okay. Oh, go on and dehydrate or starve already so we can bury you and get on with life. Don't remember. Row of pits. Here? More havoc? Do you mean below the reservoir here? Okay, so on the right, this is an archery range, and on the left, this is our drowning trap. Which were you referring to? Okay, so here's how that's set up, because we haven't finished it yet. Each of the archery ranges is basically on a long, narrow platform with a pit on either side of it. Now, the pit's not deep, it's only one level, goes down one floor. No big deal. A dwarf could fall into it, he probably wouldn't even be hurt. Um, and there's ramps, they can climb back out. It's not like it's intended to be a trap of any sort. If an arch, when I build the archery ranges, I'm going to designate them and I'll show you how that works. And the shooting direction in this case is left for right. That's fine. Now, the way this works is our dwarf will come in and he'll stand way over here at this spot here where the yellow X is. And he'll fire at that archery range to his right. Now, if he hits the target, or he's on target but short, the bolt will be destroyed by his training. It gets smashed, the end. We don't get to retrieve it. That's a shame, but there it is. If, however, he misses to the left or to the right, either way, doesn't matter. It will hit the wall or any of these spaces along here and drop into the hole harmlessly, where it can be retrieved later for reuse. Now, this is kind of a quirk, because bolts that land on the ground are usually, but not always, destroyed. Bolts that hit their target are almost always destroyed. Bolts that hit a wall like that and then fall into a hole are always saved. And so basically, this will allow you to recycle a larger number of your bolts used for training than you otherwise would. Now, this doesn't help you once your guys start to get real skill with archery. Then they're hitting the target too often and they simply smash bolts as fast as you can put them in their quivers. But if your civilians are training here as a sort of massive militia that you don't really pull out, but they have maybe they have some basic armor, for example, and a crossbow, then you can train them on wood bolts and bone bolts, and yeah, they'll use them, but a lot of them will be reused over and over again by virtue of having missed. So now our chamber is completely full. And that's why I do it, More Havoc, is so folks have a chance to learn the new tricks. There's all kinds of little one-off features that you can learn if you play long enough. Get him all nice and unforbidden so somebody. Ooh, that ain't good. Just in time to fight the elves, too. I think this is the literal definition of up one side and down the other here. I mean, that's just beating him like a rented mule. Come on, drag him off the map already. You're three-quarters the way there already. Lots of complaining about my burrows. Well, to be fair, this way they lose one elf, and it's not technically me doing it, although that doesn't get me any credit. Versus the other way, which would have involved, well, they probably would have gone to war by now, I'm guessing. Yes, yes, quit your bitch and get indoors. Oh, he's complaining about our damn burrow probably doesn't go down far enough. Got to tell them that space is part of the fortress, otherwise they won't allow them to do anything. And silence. And that problem has just resolved itself. Giants are not trap immune. What do you do with a giant, you ask? I'm glad you asked. First, we'll get him indoors. Figures it'd get all shitty, but it's not me that abandoned one of their number to the giant. I don't know what you guys want. We could take him with you. I don't care. You could take the giant for a ride. Deliver him back to your civilization for punishment. Why wouldn't that be an acceptable recompense? Unfortunately, we can't eat giants, which is kind of a shame. And before we start worrying about what the giant was carrying, we've kind of got to worry about what the pack mule and elf were carrying, because they probably had a fair number of items on them. Checking our stress, making sure it's still okay. A lot of people getting a lot of human blood rained on a lot of heads. And if you're looking, you can kind of see the progression of the guy that was doing the work as he got better and better and better and better and better and better and better. And that will get us our iron and copper back. Bury an elf? No, no, that's what a refuse pile is for. Drag him into the fort, chuck him in the refuse pit, just like all the other garbage. And those of you who are out there are going to say, ooh, that's cruel, that's meat. No, 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 it's just a shell. It's just meat. We're not eating it. We don't want the animals to eat it. We don't want the necromancers to raise it from the dead. It goes in the refuse pile. The end. I'd bury it, but coffins take work. Time once again for the entire 12 trees on the map to regrow. Okay, and our dwarves are finally finishing up hauling the last of the goodies indoors. The hauler corps will arrive momentarily to chop down every tree on the surface here. There's only about 12 or 15 of them. That'll allow us to refill our log stockpile. Now, ideally, we'd wait longer for these to grow up a little bit more so they'd get more wood out of each one. But for right now, chop them, put them in the stockpile, be done with it. Well, when I say refuse pile here, I don't literally mean stockpile. I mean the garbage dump. We had to do some shenanigans to get him to butcher the rock. I basically had to build a corpse stockpile to get it moved into that. I think it was the corpse stockpile that did it, not the refuse stockpile. Limit it to corpses, or maybe it was the refuse stockpile. I limited it to corpses and then waited for them to pull the corpse in and then immediately got rid of the stockpile and told them to butcher it. Oh, well, there wasn't I don't, at least I don't remember a Google sheet about how I put together my 15 circle fort. Somebody else may have done one. I mean, I show how I build the circles if you're doing it by hand. My floors aren't particularly optimized in this fort. It's not as though my food stockpile is directly adjacent to the kitchens, is directly adjacent to the brewers. A lot of cave adapted assholes getting a bit of sunshine for the first time in a while, that's for sure. No, in fact, when we were doing this, we got attacked a lot earlier than I would have preferred. We didn't get a bunch of stuff set up that we normally would have before we got our first attack. Combination of taking time to explain things and not keeping up with dwarves and not relentlessly pausing it for the first couple of seasons while you get things done. Alas, it's kind of hard to strike a balance between entertaining to watch and educational and doesn't get us killed. Not sure why our plot went away, but okay. Must have hit X at the wrong time at some point. So the regular design is aesthetically pleasing, but it is also useful for me to spot irregularities if, for example, a building is deconstructed suddenly. This bedroom design is not ideal, but the older bedrooms where I would have done a four square bedroom with just enough space for bed, cabinet, chest, one tile floor space, and then a door. That I like to build them a little bigger here. We're going to build a chair and a table for the guy. All right, so let's see if our carpenters are keeping up with the beds here. Welcome aboard, Master. This is Dwarf Fortress. We're using the Phoebus tile set. This, technically speaking, is not strictly safe. If the magma comes in quickly, he gets burned alive. How do you know if he made it away safely? Well, he'll be trailing his fat. So this is like RimWorld if RimWorld had a great deal more detail to it than it does. And was also a world full of, dwarves, elves, goblins, demons, plump helmet men, insect people. I think it said we need tanned hides, which means we've run out of the leather we've been buying as well. So we need to buy a bunch more cloth and leather. We could have gotten some from the elves, but for that giant. Oh, speaking of which, the giant we just trapped. That's right. What are we going to do with our friend? Ah, yes, I know. I'm a fan of the classics. And as soon as our miners get done, what are they doing? Where are, oh, right, the bedrooms. Lots of bedrooms. Lots and lots and lots of bedrooms to be done. So the downside to doing your bedrooms this way, the upside is it's a whole lot easier to designate by hand. You saw that there's a relatively straightforward pattern to it. The downside is that, well, your rooms all share a wall. If they were double walled, you could have individual engravings per room, which makes the rooms individually more valuable. Sharing an engraving like that means that only the side that's engraved actually gets the value, so some rooms get all of them and some rooms get none, and it's kind of a crap and shooting. So, ideally, you'd want to space your rooms out a little bit further, double wall them so that they all get their own individual engravings. We probably won't go any further than smoothing. As far as my, standard dwarven rooms go, smoothing is awesome. Engraving is icing on the cake. Um, the reason I'm doing the 3 by 3 room is I've read a bit on the on the stress threads on the forum, and one of the things you can do in the current version to minimize it a little bit is build your bedrooms as a 3 by 3 with a chair in the middle and a table in case they try to eat there, and then your usual chest and cabinet thing, and then dwarves who sit in the middle, even if you don't assign it as a dining room, if they sit in the middle for any reason, they'll take a moment and notice the items in a 3 by 3 square around themselves, meaning that they'll take a moment and get the happy thoughts from all their items in their furniture, supposedly. Supposedly, they're not doing it if they just happen by them in the course of their day. Not sure I've noticed that, but the extra furniture isn't going to hurt anything. We've got it laying around. Big migration wave. Nice. Lots of little minions to order around. So let's take a moment and order our guys a bit here. Really don't need a third carpenter. Even gave one up who was like, really skilled because he got a mood. That one's going to get used here in a second. I think we're going to start a new industry. Hmm. No, not seeing anything else we really care about. Okay. There it is. Sorry, it took me a minute to remember how to swap it between lists once you got three groups on screen at once. And as before, I'd prefer to use high boots, but we don't have them, so we use low boots. Yeah, I haven't slapped the chairs into the statue gardens. I've been mostly paying attention to. Oh, now who's following the dude around? Really? Seriously? Oh, we haven't planted that slab yet, have we? That's what our problem is. All right, get rid of Ghost Dad already. Let's go. Hey, speaking of ghosting, I hate to do this to you guys, but as soon as we get this ghost put to rest, I'm probably going to have to put the stream down the same way. It's after 10 o'clock and I've got to work in the morning. All right, so I'm going to save it there. Now, before I go, does anybody have? Oh no, I know where it was coming from, Clinidev. I recognize what you were talking about: chairs and statue gardens, museums, etc. So that they'll look around them while they're sitting down. I got it. Um, before I head out, is there anybody got any questions they want answered? Anything? Why did you do X? Why did you do Y? Been a while since we've actually done much, significant or involved design. I know we've kind of been monitoring things for a bit here. At this point, our fortress is pretty well up and running. It's just a matter of getting things smoother and prettier. I think maybe next time we'll do a glacier. All right, guys. Since there are no questions, then I suspect that we're going to be out. We'll do it again tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern, just like we did tonight. I'll hope to see you there. If you can, take a moment below the stream and remember we're doing this entire 33 a day event for charity. If you can donate, please do. This goes entirely to help sick kids. They need your donation just like I did about 35 years ago when I was a patient at one of these hospitals. If you can donate, please. Please do. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it for tonight, and I'll catch you tomorrow.